Hi guys, NCWQ here, and in front of me I have a new article, and this is from Live Science. This was put out today. Could massive SoCal earthquakes trigger the big one on the San Andreas Fault? Twin quakes, the biggest to hit Southern California in decades, rattled a parched stretch of the Mojave Desert on Thursday, July 4th, and Friday, July 5th, sending seismic waves rippling through Earth that could be felt from Los Angeles to San Jose. Thankfully, no deaths were reported, partly because the two quakes hit a sparsely populated region of the Golden State. The ruptured faults were not part of the San Andreas fault system, which snakes 100 miles or 1,287 kilometers from north to south along the coastline, where the North American and Pacific plates meet. But there is a chance that these quakes could somehow transfer stress to the San Andreas Fault, potentially triggering the much feared big one in one of the state's most populous cities. It is theoretically possible, though there's no known link between the two fault systems, geophysicists say. And because there's still so much to learn about the complicated fault system that ruptured, it's difficult to say whether the San Andreas Fault took on additional stress from the recent quakes, they say. Hidden faults. The magnitude 7.1 quake on July 5th ruptured a known portion of the Little Lake Fault Zone, where the magnitude 6.4 quake that hit the prior day ruptured a previously unmapped region of the fault zone. Glenn Basai, a geophysicist with the USGS of Pasadena, California, told Live Science in an email. If you look at a map of faults, you'd see that the Little Lake Fault Zone and the San Andreas Fault are not very close together. We do know of a definite relationship with these earthquakes in the San Andreas. That said, geophysicists are still learning a lot about Little Lake Fault Zone. Many of the individual faults in this zone are active, and because they are buried, we probably do not know all of them. This area does not fit the textbook pictures of sides of a plate passing one another, Basai said. Because these faults are so complicated and we know relatively little about them, it's hard to say how they will interact with the San Andreas. It is possible that the recent quakes added stress to the San Andreas fault, though we don't have a good way to assess the likelihood, said Michelle Cook, a geoscientist at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. The San Andreas hasn't slipped in a long time. If the fault is loaded to the point where it is just about ready to slip, then it is possible that the recent earthquake could add just enough shear stress to the San Andreas to cause it to slip. Alternatively, the slip of these recent earthquakes could unclamp the San Andreas fault, making it easier to slip, Cook told Live Science in an email. Migrating stress. Another intriguing possibility is that there is a bigger shakeup underground that these recent earthquakes are unmasking. Some of the movement on the San Andreas Fault is migrating east, crossing the Mojave Desert and heading up the eastern side of the Sierra Nevada mountain range, Basai said. 3 big ruptures, including one in 1992, 1999, and the recent Ridgecrest quakes, all seem to be aligned and are part of what's known as the Eastern California Shear Zone, ECSZ, Cook said. By contrast, the southern portion of the San Andreas Fault hasn't had a major eruption in 150 years, she said. Some suggest that we are seeing the migration of the activity plate boundary away from the San Andreas Fault. Cook said, I'm not yet convinced of this, but I do think this recent, geologically speaking, cluster earthquakes in the ECSZ is very interesting. And I will leave the link to this article below the video. I hope you guys are having a great day, morning or afternoon or evening or night, wherever you are. Take care and God bless.